Morning, everybody. I'm Mike with Tough Fight, and we are back for episode 11. Are your friends really your friends? So, I have a lot to say about friends. There are a lot of people in this world who say that hate is a strong word, and I agree. But you know what I think? I think that friend is a strong word. When you call yourself a friend, you're agreeing, at least in my opinion, you're agreeing to spend time with somebody who may have differing views and opinions than you. So if you say, well, this is my friend, and then you don't agree with everything they say, and then you treat them poorly, you're not really being a good friend. If you are a friend, you are agreeing that their life means something to you. By calling someone a friend, you are agreeing that you want to support them for the good of their life, not the bad. So, for example, let's just say you're at a party, you drink 10 beers with your buddy, he drinks 10 beers, and then he says, let's go cruising, man. That's probably not a good friend, because he obviously doesn't really care about your well-being. So if you walk around doing bad things with people that you call friends, I would question and argue that they're not really your friend if they allow you to do it. A good friend, a true friend, is going to actually try to steer you in the right direction. He's going to be happy for you when you make the right choices. Anyone who would support you doing wrong, intentionally especially, I would say they're not really your friend. And here's why. Because when you're the one who suffers all the consequences, when you're the one that gets arrested, loses your job, loses your family, whatever the situation may be, they're not going to be there with you. They might be there as much as they can, but at some point, like if you go to prison or, what have you, those are situations where you're the one doing the time, not them, for a decision that you made on your own and allowed them to influence you, or accepted that they didn't even try to stop you. So I've had a lot of friends in my life come and go, and I would honestly have to say I have very few people that I would call a friend today. At one point in time, I had, 20, 30 friends, whatever it would have been, whatever it was. And here's what I'll tell you. And I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I just want to explain these levels of my life that I went through where I lost these friends. So, you obviously lose friends when you leave school. High school, college, or whatever. Some people, I know a lot of people actually that maintain these friendships throughout their whole lives. I respect that. I think that's awesome. But I lost a lot of friends when I left high school, obviously. I didn't go to college, so I didn't make friends there. But when we talk about my main adult friend base, I would say I lost 30 to 50% of my friends when I got married. Now, why would that be? Well, because married life is boring to a lot of people. And when your relationship is based on going out and, picking up on women or men, whatever, if you're a man or a woman, or going out and drinking and doing drugs or whatever it may be, and you get married and your wife, who should be your best friend, encourages you to do the right things, and then you stop doing the wrong things, that can be boring to a lot of people. So they ultimately dump you, right? And then you see them 5 years later and they've either moved on or they're doing the same things, right? I have met countless people from high school days that are still living the exact same life that they were 30 years ago. And I don't get it. I really don't. It's like, move on, man. Anyways, the second phase of losing friends that I had in my life was owning my own company. And I would just like to caution any of you guys out there that are thinking about starting their own business. And just so you know, one of our videos towards the end of this series is going to be about starting your own business, oddly enough. And one thing I would really strongly urge is that if you are thinking about starting a business, really look at who your friends are. Because here's what I went through. And I'll be brief about this. I started making a lot of money, and at the time I wasn't a very smart businessman as a younger man, but at the time I didn't really realize that money wasn't mine. That money belonged to the business. Well, I would spend hundreds of dollars taking friends out to dinner and lunch, and I would always be the one to pay because I thought, well, I make more money than they do, and I have a very generous heart. So I'm like, well, let me get lunch, let me get dinner, right? And then one day I started to notice something. I noticed that these friends of mine, when the check came, they wouldn't even reach for it. Not even offer to pay the tip. And I didn't take these people out to eat because I expected something in return. But again, one day you just notice. You just see like they don't even care. Like they're literally just riding on my coattails, so to speak. And then I tried something out, and I learned a lot when I tried it. One of my friends called me up and said, "Hey man, let's go out to dinner." I said, "Oh, that's cool." I said, "We can go out to dinner, but I said, you're going to have to pay for your own because I don't have enough money." And he said, "Oh, all right, well, never mind then." And then we pretty much got off the phone, and I wouldn't say that I lost that friend in that moment, but it wasn't long afterwards that I did. When I stopped paying for things, I lost another group of friends. So we'll say another 30 to 40% of the people left then, right? So now I'm down to, a few friends, whatever. And then in 2021, I had this big experience where I came to God, and I won't bore you with the story, but bottom line is, it was such a powerful moment. My life totally changed, and I don't regret it whatsoever. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. But that's when I lost pretty much the rest of my friends. Now, I've developed some new friendships and things like that, but the point that I want to make here is that people say that they're your friend, but then when you change or something, changes circumstantially, it's like they just leave you out. They hang you out to dry. They just leave you alone and they disappear. And I guess maybe that's the natural way of it. So my point here is basically just to say that, it's not that friends are bad or anything like that. It's that friends just aren't always what they say or even think they are. Again, once you make these changes in your life and people leave you behind, you kind of see who people really were, especially when you see them down the road and what they're still doing, and that's not to say all of them, stay in one place. I mean, I've seen a lot of people go on and do great things, but anyways, the point that I really want to make here is that it even can be tough with like your family. So I have family members who value their friendships far more than they value their family. And for a while, that really bothered me. It actually hurt my feelings, we'll say. But I have grown to learn that, it's not that important. And I'm not saying that family's not that important, but the bottom line is when people decide to have relationships together, it's not always... Not everybody's meant to be in a relationship with each other. Not everybody's compatible in a relationship. What does it matter who your friends or who your family is at this point? I mean, if you do the right things in life, that is what matters. So the reason why we're having this conversation is because I wholeheartedly believe that any of you guys who are out there struggling, trying to get their lives together, trying to figure out like, what am I supposed to do? And you're running around with these guys or these girls, whatever, and you're just basically getting yourself into trouble, or you're basically just staying in the same place. Then you don't have good friends, especially if they're not encouraging you to do well. And even if they are, even if they're saying, "Hey Joey, you should be doing this right, you should be doing that right," and then they say, "Hey, let's go back behind the dumpster and smoke a bowl." I mean, that's what kind of friendship is that, right? Like, you're not going to get where you want to go with people like that in your life, or if you're, looking to go steal stuff so you can make it to the next day. I don't know, whatever. Be careful of who you have in your life, and be careful of who you call a friend. When you call somebody a friend, you are taking on a responsibility. And most people, I don't believe, see it that way. I think most people think that friends are nothing more than entertainment to themselves. Like this person, he's going to provide me with something to do. That's entertainment. At its core, that's entertainment. Yeah, you might share a couple sweet stories or whatever in those quiet moments, but for the most part, like if your relationship is built on having fun, having the good times and all that stuff. But then like when the trouble hits, they ditch you, or when you change, they ditch you. That's not a friend. I'm sorry, but it's just not a friend. Someone should see you for who you are and love who you are. And now, obviously, if you change for the worse, and that could be, let's be honest, that can be an opinion. If you change for the worse, like you're committing crimes, whatever, yeah, you might have to cut someone out of your life. But the bottom line, at the end of the day, you need to choose people in your life who are going to help propel you to the next level. I'm not saying they do it for you, but whether it be an encouragement or what have you. I actually had friends that ditched me because they didn't want to impede my walk in life. Man, I wish I could run into those people today, because you know what? I respect them for that. They were honest enough to dismiss their relationship with me because they knew I was going to go on to do better things than what I was doing with them. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's a true friend right there, you know? So, guys, let's make good friends out there. And any friends that we have that aren't helping us be the best person we can be, and you're not helping them be the best person they can be, let's think twice about that relationship and ask, do we really need to be in it? Are they weighing you down, or are they lifting you up? Are you weighing them down, or are you lifting them up? That's what we need to think about, guys, when it comes to friends. And remember this, guys. Life is tough. Fight back.